And so now they love the Second Amendment. Now they love America. Oh, they're protecting it from the fascist Donald Trump. Well, they run around with all their high-tech systems jacked into police departments they control, license plate scanning conservatives and ICE and border agents, and targeting them and their families, and hundreds of new videos a day saying, kill white people, and churches are bad because they're white supremacy. Don Lemon, they're making their move, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the facts. And we have to be aware of it and understand we're in a war for our very survival.
We absolutely are. They are making their plans. They are getting organized. We have to, stop them. We have to get in and stop them. It's the only thing to do. It's the only way they stop is if they are stopped. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex today. I, of course, normally host the War Room in the afternoon. Stuart Rhodes is going to be taking over for me on the War Room, but we have a giant show for you here on the Alex Jones Show, including, of course, the fact that Don Lemon was arrested. Don Lemon has been placed into custody. He may be making a court appearance as early as today. Minnesota church disruptor Don Lemon arrested by feds while covering Grammy Awards in Los Angeles. What an interesting career path this man has had. Imagine going from like the voice of the nation during the first Trump administration, not because you actually deserved it or were worthy of anything even close to that label. You just were placed on CNN and given the position of, authority, king journalist there to condemn the Trump administration no matter what, every single day. And you're on top of the world. You're making millions of dollars. Everything you say becomes a big political firestorm. And then he gets fired. And then he gets fired and becomes a live streamer and can't manage triple digits on his live stream. Nobody cares about him. It must have been a rude awakening. It must always be a rude awakening with these leftist people who think that they deserve the position that they're in, who think that they are this big, important person because of their talent and skill and charisma. And then they realize that actually without the label of CNN, without being pumped out by the entire industry, nobody cares what they have to say. The Brian Stelter, Don Lemons of the world sort of dissolving into nothingness once they're no longer forced down everybody's throat. And so he's gotten desperate. He's gotten desperate for attention. He's gotten desperate to retain or regain that taste of power that he once had. And this has resulted in him committing domestic terror. So that's quite a collapse of a career. Quite a collapse to go from the head person at CNN, Donald Trump's worst enemy, to a failed Twitch streamer, to a now imprisoned domestic terrorist. How far they fall. From InfoWars, Don Lemon arrested after Minnesota church protest. And of course, Drudge Report, God only knows what happened to these guys. Big red letters, feds arrest Lemon, Don versus Don, DOJ targets another critic, political world rocked. Was he arrested because he's a critic? Or is he arrested because he deliberately traumatized children in a church? Are you just allowed to commit crime as long as you don't like Trump? Is that what it is? I mean, if he committed a murder, would it still say this? DOJ targets another critic. Well, yeah, for committing a crime. It's not Donald Trump's fault that his critics commit crimes, but that doesn't give them immunity. I feel like the insinuation here is that it should. Is that because Don Lemon is a critic of Trump, therefore anything that the government tries to do to, get justice for Don Lemon's crime that he committed on camera isn't supposed to be taken seriously and is supposed to be seen as some sort of example of tyranny, as yet another example of Donald Trump's vengeance on his enemies. No, Don Lemon organized with a group of protesters before they stormed a church. Then he stormed the church with them. Then he's on camera afterwards, pointing at children crying, saying this is what it's all about. So, yeah, this has nothing to do with him being a Trump critic. It has everything to do with him being a terrible person and a criminal. So good, he got arrested. I'm glad he did. I was pretty resigned to the fact that he wasn't going to be arrested because, a judge decided that being left-wing means you're allowed to commit crimes these days. Apparently, we got around that somehow. It's very good news. Don Lemon, this is a statement from Don Lemon, from Abe Howell, attorney for Don Lemon. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Why, though? Why were you there, though? Did anybody even know the Grammy Awards were happening? Actually, you know what? Let me take a brief moment here. This just reminded me of something. Guys, you can come to me real quick.
What can I do?
I just want to say happy birthday to Grammy. My Grammy's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Grammy. There's a lady in Colorado named Fran Smith and turning 92 today. Happy birthday. We love you. Sorry, just the word Grammy reminded me. And you know, I try not to take advantage of the fact that I've been given this incredible position, but I did want to do that personally. So happy birthday, Grammy. I hope it's a good one. Sorry, back to the old former CNN host / domestic terrorist / Hollywood news reporter, Don Lemon, being arrested. Don has been a journalist for 30 years. Really? Is that what they're calling it these days? Okay. No, he's been a thorn in the side of honest people everywhere for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he's always done. The First Amendment, well, I mean, in a way, that's true. In a way, storming into a church and terrifying children because you think that somebody in the church might have something to do with ICE carrying out lawful duties and expelling, like, it's a level of terrorism above what CNN does, but not in an entirely different class. Just a little bit more in your face and abrasive, but really it's all just different shades of civilizational arson. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role is to shine light of truth and hold those in power accountable. I'm sorry, were the children in the church people in power? Were you holding the pastor to account, or were you holding the crying children to account, or was it the parents that you were blocking from getting to their children? Are those the powerful people you're holding to account, or were you just terrorizing innocent people because you're a psychopath? Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing. That's okay. Maybe you should. I was usually saying that we should use less AI. This person probably needs to use more AI in their writing. I don't think that's a real sentence, but we'll move on. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Okay, well, good luck to him. Good luck to him. If there was any justice in the world, if our laws actually applied to every single individual equally, then Don Lemon would be in prison for the next couple years. He'll remain in custody. He will not be given bail. He'll remain in custody until his trial date, which may not be for another year or so. And at that point, he'll be thrown in prison for 2 years, because that's what happened to people who sat in a hallway of an abortion clinic singing hymns peacefully. The FACE Act is likely what will be used to go after Don Lemon, as it should be. And the FACE Act has been around for a long time, and it's only ever been used to go after abortion clinic protesters. And that was the point of the bill. But in order to get that bill across, they couldn't make it that partisan, couldn't make it that, unfriendly to Republicans. You can't just say you're not allowed to protest at, left-wing places anymore. So they had to make a compromise. They said, okay, we'll make it illegal to block the entrance to abortion clinics, but we also have to apply the same controls and restrictions to houses of worship. And so they sort of did it just to get it across the finish line, just because they needed to agree to that, but they never actually intended to use the FACE Act that way. And it has never been used that way until earlier this year, when Harmeet Dillon used the FACE Act to prosecute people for blocking the entrance to a synagogue. And so hopefully it will be used here again, as it should be. Because again, they passed this law and Don Lemon broke it. So I don't know, what else you expect. Yeah, young mother gets more than 3 years in prison blocking abortion clinic entrance. This is, Bevelyn Betty Williams, who has a 2-year-old daughter, attends to appeal the decision. She was actually pardoned by Trump, if I'm not mistaken. We had her husband on. I think she's been on with Brianna Morello since being freed. But yeah, they send people to prison for 3 years. I mean, you can see the videos. It's literally people sitting in a hallway, singing hymns and holding hands and they get arrested. And really, they get their door kicked down at 2 in the morning, hauled away from their family at gunpoint, and then thrown in prison for 3 years for peacefully sitting down outside of an abortion clinic, not storming into a church mid-service and blocking. I'm sure Alex went over. If y'all haven't read the actual report of what really happened in the church, a woman got her arm broken. The protesters were blocking the entrance to the Sunday school, so parents were being blocked from getting to their children, which of course was all an attempt to start a fight, right? They are really running with this like, I'm not touching you game, to the point that they're trying to overthrow the government that way. But the whole point of this was to basically assault and terrify innocent random people in the hopes that those people flip out, get angry, and attack them. And then they, of course, would be arrested for, you know, felony assault or whatever. And I'm surprised it didn't happen. I mean, if a group of people come storming into a church where my kid is in a Sunday school room and they're blocking me, like, it's all bets are off. And they know that. And so they're pushing that, because the entire strategy of the left right now is to push things as far as possible, as hard as possible, looking for that response so that they can then frame the response as if it just came out of nowhere, like Drudge Report did with Don Lemon, another critic arrested. Wow, it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird that all the people that hate Donald Trump also happen to be criminals. Isn't that crazy? That people keep getting arrested, not for what they did to oppose Trump, not for their political positions, but because they are domestic terrorists filming themselves terrifying children on purpose.
Well,
so good riddance to Don Lemon. I still am not gonna, be surprised if it turns out gets let out at some point. But it's good to see at least him get arrested for the time being, because it's already happening again. We can go to clip number 6 here. White liberals took over another church in Minnesota and put on a communist leftist anti-ICE singing protest in protection of illegal aliens. Let's go to clip number 6 here. The Jones list.
I can think of nothing that is more appropriate in honoring Zev Jabotinsky than to think of him in his terms of here was a person.
Trying to go to clip 6 here. And we just played his B-roll. But apparently liberals need this explained to them. If you don't punish criminals, they just keep committing crimes. Do you not understand this? And in fact, it's not just the individual criminal. Other criminals pay attention to this stuff. And liberals, I think, have this idea that, like, crime is just, I don't know what they think it is. I understand it. I understand and, have, like, empathy for criminals, and that I can understand their mindset. I can get into their mindset. Not that I think it's valid, but I can understand, like, no, people just want to do bad things. They want to get things they don't deserve. They want to hurt other people because they like to. Liberals think that, all crime is like out of necessity and you just have to fix the conditions, or you have to educate the person. They just don't know that the crime is wrong. But no, criminals pay attention to what they can get away with, what they can't get away with. Remember talking about this with the Parkland shooting in Florida, where they changed the laws in Florida. They wanted to stop the school to prison pipeline. Yeah, so you let one group storm a church, guess what happens? Another group takes over another church. Obviously, what else are they going to do? And this is such a deliberate slap in the face to Christians. And it's just hand in hand with the, wider theme of tearing down the fundamental, foundational principles of our country, including Christianity, and warping it into something unrecognizable and, in fact, completely inverted. But yeah, in Parkland, they made it to where you can't send kids to prison. And so all the gangs just started recruiting children to commit crimes for them. And they would get away with it. Because criminals pay attention to this sort of stuff. They know, okay, if we do this, we're going to get arrested. If we do this, we're not. Oh, look, they changed the law. Now kids don't get arrested for this. Well, let's go recruit some 15-year-olds to go do some breaking and entering. We'll get the benefit, and if they get caught, nothing will happen to them because they wrote the law that way.
Need help?
And so that's what happened. So you had a massive uptick in children committing crimes because the gangs would recruit them. So they're paying attention. They know this stuff. They aren't just acting like out of impulse or like animals. They know and they're testing the bounds and they're pushing the limits, and then they're receiving feedback, and then they're changing their, methods in that way. So the only way to stop crime is to stop crime. The only way to stop a communist revolution is to stop it. You can't just expect these people to run out of steam. You can't just expect them to come to the light and realize, the reality of what's going on. And we'll get more into this in just a second. I'll give you some more updates. We also have Trump has nominated or chosen his nominee for the new Fed chair. We've got more rumblings with war in Iran as more military buildup occurs in that area, and even Russia is talking about evacuating its citizens from Iran. And we got a bunch of surveillance and censorship. We have so many stories and so many videos to get to, but I'm going to go now to a report from Alex Jones about ICE. Here's Alex Jones. Remember to support us at thealexjonesstore.com. Let's watch.
It is the 30th of January, 2026, and 2 days ago, the Democrat Party and their NGOs announced, starting yesterday, they were going to mobilize high schoolers, middle schoolers, even elementary students, and have the schools tell them to go out and march and protest during the day, hopefully having a confrontation, hopefully somebody getting hurt, because they need a new victim. They need more death, and they're using children literally as human shields. We've already seen them bring them out to their violent demonstrations, and when they get hurt with tear gas and things, then the media can hype it up and be deceptive, but then you learn the parents actually brought their kids there on purpose. They weren't just coming back from basketball practice and got caught up in it. So now you're going to see video out of Fairmont, Nebraska, to Fairmont High School, and the side shot shows what looks like teenagers that are pro-Trump. So they pull up in their car and show it. The crowd starts getting around them. They start trying to pull off, and you see what looks like a high schooler bounce off the front of the car at about low speeds, but they're probably going about 4 miles an hour. He was starting to speed off, and they left the scene. That was wrong. But when you see the front shot, the news isn't showing. You see a girl run straight towards the car when it's already moving. She just runs straight towards the car, and it's now a martyr. And now, staying in the hospital, but suppose he wasn't too hurt, but there'll be lawsuits and things. So we've already seen this at other ICE protests at Black Lives Matter, where they literally jump in front of the police cars. So that's the reality of this. And now you're going to have major violence over the weekend, as they're going to have other big youth marches around the country. And I would advise Republicans, conservatives, nationalists, populists, you have your First Amendment. If you want to go out to these things, fine. But they're going to try to set you up. They're going to jump in front of your cars. And I would just not give them what they want. That's my view. All right, more special reports and more coming up on this special transmission.
And then it's connected to my earbud right now.
They're literally telling him to stop.
In Fairmont, Nebraska yesterday, the public school told the kids to go out and demonstrate. And it's all over the country. The left's now using them basically as shields or as the equivalent of little leftist suicide bombers so they can all play victim. And this weekend they're going to have big rallies all across the nation in the hopes that young people get hurt, including small children. But look at this video. The national news won't show it to you. When I saw this video from the side shot, I said, looks like they're surrounding the car. Let me see if the person that gets hit actually jumped in front of the car. And sure enough, I did a search on X. Whoop, there it is, front shot. The woman sees the car start to roll, and like a zombie, she just runs straight into it. But the media won't show you that. Now, the two high schoolers, it looks like, that wanted to come out to their demonstration and say, hey, we're pro-Trump. It's your right to do it, probably not the smartest thing. And once they got scared of the mob, they did drive off, which they can typically say is a hit and run. So that's not right what they did. But the woman that jumped in front of them, looks like a high schooler girl. So these leftists know what they're doing, folks. They're all a bunch of Jesse Smolletts. They're experts at it. We have to be aware of this. I see countless other videos of other leftists complaining, I jumped out in front of a car and they hit me, and then they were mad at me when they're the ones that hit me. And you've got all these other deliberate videos of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you name it, jumping in front of police vehicles and others when they're going fast, and then trying to play the victim as well. I mean, this is just craziness, because they need to be the victim. As Axios said, Democrats need death. They need to have their cult members killed so they can play victim. They need a new George Floyd. It's that simple.
And here you see the video from the other angle where the person literally jumps in front of the car. And of course, you know, it doesn't look like the person is hurt, really. I mean, it was a little bump. But they're gonna play it up. But they're putting their children in harm's way, and they're happy to. They're looking for martyrs. They're literally taking their children, apparently, you know, according to them, to face off against literal Nazis. So I don't know how you deal with people like this, to be honest with you. But you wonder, you know, you hear about all these old cults, you know, in the ancient days sacrificing their children. You know the parents sacrifice their own children, right? This isn't exactly a new thing. It's just an evil thing.
I have told the folks at Bigley, I said, I want to have the widest selection of combat daggers, trench knives, folding knives, you name it, that are high-quality brands that you buy in bulk that are very competitively priced. And then support the broadcast, because I love knives. I know you love knives. They have finally gotten a whole bunch of the knives that were sold out back in. And they've gotten a bunch of new, really nice flip knives that I went out and told them what brands I liked, what was going on, and they were able to get it. And so a bunch of the knives that sold out a few months ago, they're back in. And then these bad boys right here. I mean, these are absolutely amazing. Flip really easy and locks for you. This is Forest Green, murdered out. It's got my little signature on it, so it's a little piece of history. This is a great knife. This knife sells in stores for $75 all day long. We're selling it for 40-something, and even bigger discounts, up to 50% off right now. Some of these knives are as low as $20 a piece. It's a great memento. It's a great gift for your friends and family, and it funds the operation. Go there now. We've got also the Murdered Out Black, and I love how it's that Kydex, and it's got that real fine engraving on it, so it gives you that great feeling, that great, because I got sent hundreds of knives from dozens of companies, and I'm the one that chose all these. And these are from really good companies, really good quality, and it's just a great deal. And so do your knife shopping at thealexjonesstore.com. But let me tell you what's back in stock. We have the new ones, Alex Jones Blackout Folding Knife, 7.65 assisted opening folding knife, 3.5 high carbon Damascus blade, 1095 plus 515 N20. This is all quality. D2 steel, black PVD coating, and stonewash finish, 3.3 millimeter black thickness, black G10 handle for a secure grip, 15.5 millimeter handle thickness for confident hand feel, ball bearing pivot system for smooth deployment. I mean, it's a nice quality knife. All black, blackout finished. I call it Murdered Out. Fast, decisive, assisting, operating, limited production before it sells out. And then we've got the same knife, but it's silver blade folding knife. If you like that, it's got a nice little hook on the end, so you can tie things. The Forest Green folding knife that is my close second, really a sexy knife. Same as the other one, it's just got that Forest Green. Call it forest. It's kind of like an in-between forest and olive. It's nice. Kind of Border Patrol. I call it Border Patrol Green. Let's change the name Border Patrol Green. That's actually what it is. This bad boy. These all sold out, but they always hold back a few hundred in case orders come in later or whatever. So tip of the spear, Spartan, trench knife with brass knuckles, Murdered Out, and the Skull Crusher. A few hundred of those. They held back a few of these. It had sold out. There's about 200 left. But the last fire of this beauty limited edition, that funds the operation as well. It's a little different. The Skull Crusher is this big. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. This has been sold out. They only got 500 of these the first run, sold out in one day. It is back. They got 1,000 of them. And it's just a great knife. Really sleek, really strong, very well made. And you've got it in orange, Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. I like that. Now we've got the Alex Jones Ring Blade. This sold out the quickest last time. That's an amazing product. And they're up to 50% off right now at thealexjonestore.com. And while you're there, get some ultramethylene blue and take advantage of the very best supplements in the world. We'll be right back. Thanks for funding the Second American Revolution worldwide.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Don Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles by federal agents for violation of the FACE Act. The FACE Act is constitutional and properly applied. In this case, it certainly is, because Lemon and the Black Lives Matter crew said they were there to make them uncomfortable and shut them down and basically bully them into their political form of thinking. When you do that, you are engaged in a conspiracy against someone's rights. And that's exactly what happened to me with the Democrat Party and the DOJ and their fake lawsuits. And all that information has been coming out in court, and a lot more is about to come out. Just wait for that here very, very soon. But he also, a few days ago, did an interview, and we'll show that clip in a moment, where he said, oh, these are white supremacists. In fact, Christian churches in general are white supremacists because only they have rights, only whites have rights. It's total division, total bigotry against Christians. That was a mixed church on top of it, but he's very, very proud of himself. But regardless, this attempt to intimidate Christians and come into their houses of worship, where it's their First Amendment protected space, is illegal when you do it for political purposes to terrorize people. And so he'll try to make himself a martyr. At one level, I wish they wouldn't have indicted him, because now they'll just up his profile. The guy's a total joke, has almost no viewers, is universally basically hated like Brian Stelter. But at the end of the day, we do need to send a message not to storm these churches, not to invade these churches, and not engage these type of activities. So here's Don Lemon doubling down.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time, my producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Conspiracy against rights. That's what's been done to myself, Roger Stone, President Trump, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, and countless others. When the government organizes through lawfare or through mobs of people, anything, to go in and shut down people's speech, shut down their First Amendment, shut down their right to worship, shut down their right to the press, or their just basic free speech, it is a form of racketeering. It's a form of terrorism. And that's the reality of the Democratic Party. They're the masters of it, and their attempts to claim that Trump's violating people's constitutional rights or Trump is setting up a dictatorship is a total fraud. They're the ones that have had a reign of terror, intimidation, bullying, lawfare, and all these fake indictments.
Don Lemon cries foul, but I'm a gay black man. I can't be arrested. You can't arrest me. I'm a gay black man that criticizes Trump. Therefore, any action against me is political oppression. And they expect you to buy that argument. It's kind of hilarious. It's actually kind of funny. It's also kind of funny him talking about religious freedom and the founding of the country, like the Puritans didn't come over here to create essentially a theocracy. I mean, the church was the government for a lot of the early colonies, but that's beside the point. The right to worship is the thing that you violated by storming into a church and shutting it down. You absolute moron. He is literally invoking the very clause of the Constitution that he broke and is being punished for. So, again, the inversion never ends. Well, we'll give you any updates what happens with this. Of course, the mainstream media is having a field day. White House, and then in all caps, jokes about Don Lemon arrest after former CNN anchor Joker was charged after anti-ICE mob stormed Minnesota. They joked. Can you believe it? They joked about Don Lemon. You're not allowed to joke about or arrest Don Lemon. Yeah. Good riddance, Don. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if, this got thrown out, if he gets away with it. I think it will probably raise his profile. But we need to arrest these people and send them to prison. So it's a good start. I'd like to see a hell of a lot more of it. All right, there's a lot of other big stories going on. Obviously, the Fulton County raid of the FBI to seize the ballots that I have a feeling are going to prove a lot of crimes, basically, during the 2020 election. We'll actually be joined at 1 p.m. Central Time to talk to Patrick Byrne about that. He's got a lot of good information about that and a lot of other stories. Again, we also are looking at what's happening around Iran, as there's a lot of stories that seem to hint that we are headed towards a ultimate conflict with them. We also have the new Federal Reserve nominees. We're going to get into all of this and more on today's episode. I do want to tell you, though, about some of the new knives that we have at thealexjonesstore.com. And just like we take the supplements that we sell, we wear the shirts that we sell, this has been my everyday carry since it came in. It's one of the amazing knives at thealexjonesstore.com. Opens easily, extremely sharp. I've always carried a knife. I was carrying around a knife I think I got free from the NRA, and it was a pretty good knife. But this knife is just simply better. It's better for a lot of reasons. It comes in 3 different styles: the Midnight Black, the Forest Green, or the Stealth Silver. They're purpose-built, everyday carry blades designed for durability, reliability, and real-world use, not novelty imports. They have a 3.5-inch high-carbon Damascus steel blade with a titanium handle and G10 scales. Ball-bearing pivot system. It's an ambidextrous liner lock, so you can open and close it with both hands. And it's a compact EDC build. I have one in my pocket every single day, and it's extremely useful. I use it all the time, and I've been using it for months. It's still just as sharp as it was the day I got it out of the beautiful gift box that it comes in. By the way, it would make a fantastic gift. These boxes are really, really well made and beautiful. Like I carry my knife around every day. I still have the box for some reason. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it just feels like I shouldn't throw it away. It's just too nice of a box. So it really comes in a great presentation, and it really just goes to show the care that we put into all of our products. Get yours today at thealexjonesstore.com. The new custom Alex Jones knives with the Alex Jones logo etched on the side. It's a limited production run, so they are going to sell out. Get yours while you can, folks. thealexjonesstore.com/Harrison if you want to let them know who sent you. And we're going to go to another report from Alex Jones here in just a second, but there are some updates to the Fulton County story as of this morning. Investigators cannot find Fulton County's zero tapes, board says. A member of the state election board revealed that the tapes used to verify ballot counters, that ballot counters started their counts at 0, may be missing. A 2020 election scandal in Fulton County, Georgia's most populous county, continues to grow, with new details revealed in a state election board meeting last Wednesday. And now, a week later, with an FBI raid seeking election documents from the county, Fulton County was notoriously plagued with issues like long lines and voting machine malfunctions in the 2020 primary elections, problems the New York Times described as a, quote, full-scale meltdown. It's also totally normal, and it was the most secure election of all time. Don't worry about that full-scale meltdown we just mentioned. That was nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that, folks. It's illegal to question it. The problems continued through November's election day and beyond, prompting concerns about votes being counted without proper supervision, among other things. The county's repeated failures in 2020 so degraded trust in Fulton County's ability to administer elections that the election director was forced to resign. It's just absolutely crazy. It just absolutely is insane that, A, it's been 6 years since they stole the election and nothing's happened to them, when we have just an infinite amount of evidence that the election was stolen in a variety of different ways. That's crazy. It's also crazy that something is happening. And I have to wonder if Trump didn't maybe look at his poll numbers and think, we better do some stuff. We better get some things done. We better arrest Don Lemon. We better look into the 2020 election. We better start arresting people because they're going to lose the midterms if they don't do this sort of stuff. And you know what? I've been pretty down on Trump. I'm pretty harsh on Trump. I would swallow my words. I would vote for Trump for a third term. I'd stop questioning. If he can pull this off, if he can prove that the 2020 election was rigged and that the entire Biden administration was fraudulent, I don't even know how we deal with that legally. I don't know what happens if that's, proven in a court of law beyond any reasonable doubt. I think we're going to be in some uncharted waters pretty soon. But if he can pull this off, and if this is sort of the first domino to fall. Did Donald Trump post this? Was this recent? That's so funny.
May your generosity.
And it showed Alex, maybe it's time to shut the F up and let him cook. I mean, we're sitting here starving, okay? You can at least bring us some breadsticks, all right? If it's gonna take you a year to start cooking, to where we actually start smelling the food and think that, maybe he really is cooking. Maybe he's not just selling the kitchen to Israel. Maybe he's actually cooking something. Maybe some breadsticks, maybe a little appetizer, maybe a menu to let us know what he's cooking. You can't just disappear into the kitchen for a year, and then when we're like, hey, we're kind of getting hungry out here, where's the food? Be like, we're cooking! You have to let us cook! It's like, all right, well, you've been cooking for a year. We don't have a single green pea to eat already, so where are we at? So far, you've brought out a couple, entry courses, and they don't actually exist. You've got like an indictment of James Comey for you, sir, and it's just like an empty plate. It's like, oh, right, never mind. Sorry about that. Oh, what about Letitia James? And it's just like a couple crumbs, piece of lettuce. It's like, well, but he's cooking. But apparently he's cooking. So again, I'm not seeing much cooking going on, so I'm not exactly going to accept that. We've been through this before, after all. A lot of people waited through Trump's first term for the hammer to come down and the storm to begin. How'd that work out? So no, we're not just blindly trusting Trump, but we're also being open to him doing some great things and then being happy for him again, being happy with him again. That's how this works. When he does what he's supposed to do, when he does what's necessary to rescue this country in our hour of need, then we'll be happy and we'll love him and we'll support him. Until that, stop telling us to shut up, okay? Okay, how's that sound? We're gonna go to this report from Alex, and I'll come on the other side with some new updates. And I don't know how I'm gonna get to all these videos. There's so many good videos because the left is so dishonest about this. They're like such unrepentant liars about all of this that I've like so many videos of people just carefully and calmly and thoroughly explaining they rigged the election. The FBI proved they rigged the election to the satisfaction of a judge who delivered a warrant. And now the warrant lets them go get evidence for the crimes they suspect. Like, have to walk Democrats through this because they're convinced that whether it's arresting Don Lemon or arresting protesters that are attacking ICE or anything Trump ever does is just tyrannical madness. And we have to set him straight. Here's Alex Jones doing just that.
The Democrat Party's scared. They know they stole the 2020 election. All the evidence that we had back at the time has now been proven right. And Georgia is one of the most egregious cases where they engage in so many different types of fraud. Well, the FBI was able to get a very powerful search warrant to go into the Fulton County, Maine tabulation voting center and get all the records because they already have large pieces of evidence of the different types of fraud, but they need the original documents. And this is about election integrity. They said it was a perfect election in Georgia, and perfect election in Michigan and Pennsylvania. We all know that's a lie. Georgia now admits hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Trump voters were just pulled off and not allowed to vote or had their ballots thrown in the trash. It's just, I mean, look at Wisconsin. There's 7 million something voters now, and there's only 4.5 million voters in the state. And all those magic people that vote happen to vote Democrat. They know they're in deep trouble. And so here's a few clips of a state senator and another Georgian who are very accurate in what they say, explaining that this is not election meddling, this is election integrity and protection of our right to vote. And that's why the Democrats are so scared. This is the facts. So here's these two powerful breakdowns back to back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to remind everyone what happened yesterday as it relates to the actual fact pattern of law. And a warrant was issued by a magistrate judge based on probable cause after evidence was submitted. Not a Trump-appointed judge, a magistrate judge. That is the way that the law enforcement process works in America. But we have heard repeatedly that everything was perfect with 2020. In fact, I think we probably at this point could trademark the most secure election in American history. What qualifications we use to measure that, I have no idea. But let's go back to what actually happened in 2020 if we're gonna have the conversation. Drop boxes invented out of thin air, nowhere in Georgia law. Mobile voting units moving through Fulton County to 80% Democrat precincts, 81% Democrat precincts to be precise. Nowhere envisioned in Georgia law. 6.8 million absentee ballot request forms with a first-class stamp sent to every registered voter in the state of Georgia. Nowhere envisioned in Georgia law. If you count the same ballots 3 times, in theory, you should get numbers that match. But that didn't happen either. Let's talk about the recount that happened. 3,930 double-scanned ballots in Fulton County alone. Thousands of those have been confirmed by the state election board. Governor Kemp actually raised the concerns of the Moncla-Rossi report, and we now know that there were double-scanned ballots. But even after the ballots were double-scanned in Fulton County, did the numbers match on the second recount? Nope. They were still off by 850 ballots. Not one person here can answer the question of how that happened, and that is a legitimate question. We know that ballot images were deleted. We know that test ballots were included in the recount process, and we have that confirmed. But I want to take just a minute and talk about what the Democrats did in response to legitimate questions over the 2020 election. A former constituent of mine, Derek Somerville, former FBI agent, ran data analysis along with another gentleman named Mark Davis. And remember the 6.8 million absentee ballot request forms that were sent out? They had a first-class stamp. So that means if you filed the national change of address form, that was automatically forwarded to your new address. And they identified reasonable cause to question the validity of 39,141 of those ballots that were cast. They knew that 160 people had been registered to vote from a single UPS store. 2,138 people had been registered to vote from one church in Fulton County. 1,391 had been registered to vote from a shuttered 1,000 square foot building in Fulton County. And lest you think Fulton County has cleaned up their voter rolls, today, thousands of people are registered to vote in Fulton County at UPS stores, storage units, pack mails, homeless shelters that haven't been open for over 5 years. The Fulton County voter rolls have been and continue to be a mess. But when Derek Somerville and Mark Davis followed the law and filed objections to those voters, what did the Democrats do? Well, Stacey Abrams sued them in federal court, and they won. Not Stacey Abrams, but Somerville and Davis won. Judge Jones, not a Republican judge, ruled in their favor. What have we learned since then about those 39,000 voters? 12,000 of them have been removed from the voter rolls because Somerville and Davis were correct that they were no longer eligible to vote. 9,500 have updated their address to a new address outside of Fulton County, proving once again that Somerville and Davis were correct and those people were ineligible to vote. Ultimately, 84% of the votes of the eligibility that Somerville and Davis challenged were proven to have been invalid voters in the 2020 election. So let's stop this charade of the most perfect, most secure election in history. But more importantly, and I would agree with my colleagues on this, let's look forward to the future elections, and it's darn near past time for Fulton County to clean up their voter rolls.
So the big news today was the FBI raid on the Fulton County, Georgia election hub to recover ballots and other evidence related to the potentially fraudulent 2020 election. And while the Democrats are out there trying to convince everyone that this is some Republican attempt to overthrow our democracy and instill fear in voters, let me remind you that the FBI was required to meet an extremely high bar to get a judge to sign off on it. Here's what occurred today. FBI agents executed a federal search warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center in Union City, Georgia. They seized physical ballots from the 2020 general election, tabulator tapes from voting machines, electronic ballot images, 2020 voter rolls, and other related records. And the agents were there for hours. They were removing boxes of materials as part of an active criminal investigation. But why? The warrant targets potential violations of federal election laws under the 52 U.S. Code Section 20701, which requires preservation of federal election records for 22 months, and Section 2511, which criminalizes knowingly procuring, casting, or tabulating false or fraudulent ballots or intimidating voters. The warrant states that these materials constitute evidence of criminal offenses or were used in committing them, limited to actions after October 12, 2020. But let's focus on the evidentiary high bar here. This is crucial. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches. The FBI cannot raid anywhere on a whim. They must present a detailed sworn affidavit to a neutral federal magistrate judge establishing probable cause, specific facts, not rumors or speculation, that, one, a federal crime was likely committed, and evidence of that crime will be found at this exact location. The judge reviews it independently, no rubber stamp. They ensure the warrant is particular, describing precisely the place and items to be seized to prevent any sort of fishing expeditions. Now, in this case, U.S. Magistrate Judge Catherine Salinas, she signed off after reviewing the sealed affidavit for a comprehensive evidentiary suite, meaning the DOJ and FBI had to meet an even more rigorous standard with this compelling evidence. This high bar exists to protect constitutional rights, even in politically charged cases. If Democrats call this an overthrow of democracy, they're ignoring that a federal judge, not partisans, authorized it based on evidence. Rule of law demands we follow evidence, preserve records, and ensure fair elections. No one is above scrutiny here, including these election officials and including every single stinking Democrat that may have participated in an effort to defraud the American people. You know, to me, it's they who tried to overthrow our republic, not President Trump, not the FBI, and certainly not Republicans.
Now, this is just Georgia we've been looking at right now. In Arizona, it's almost even worse than Georgia. I can't decide which, but now they admit for the first time ever in testimony, the legislature, by the election officials, that in the middle of the contested election, late that night, on the first night, in comes Dominion voting systems with chips, with thumb drives, downloading everything, and then leaving with all the information. And then it was reported later, coming back in the next days and weeks, you're not supposed to be touching any of that. And of course, the Democrats tell us, oh, these machines can't connect to the internet. They've all got cell phones built into them, and they plug them into the damn wall. So this whole house of cards is coming down. Democrats say the machines are totally safe. Now they're saying they're not safe. Trump's going to steal it. It's just wild. So they don't want us examining it. They don't want us looking at it. If there's Republican fraud, let's find it and stop it as well. But let's put sunshine on this. It's really important. But the good news is they're ripping the Band-Aid off. We're starting to see real action from the Justice Department because Trump's cracking the whip.
Well, good. You know, I just hope it's not too little too late. I mean, we have about 8 months to secure the midterms, or else that's it. Not just for the Trump administration, kind of for America as a whole. Because it's going to be impeachment, nothing but impeachment and investigations and nonsense until Trump's term expires, and then they'll have the elections rigged again, and they'll get back into power, and then they'll probably let in another 20 million people. They'll probably give the last 20 million amnesty, And I'm pretty sure that's it. As a country, I'm pretty sure we cannot get back from that. I'm pretty sure it's sort of tenuous whether we can get back to the position we're in now. I think another, Biden load of illegals might just be the end of it. By the way, folks, I've just been delivered some breaking news that we'll get into on the other side about Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, 3 little letters that probably terrify the type of people that run in their circles. STDs, folks. We got some very interesting information about Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, and sexually transmitted diseases from Russian girls on the other side. Stay with us, folks. Big day.
I'm here to announce a new, extremely exciting product at thealexjonestore.com, and that's Mind Fuel. Brought to you by the same folks that developed Optimal Human. This is an Optimal Human product. We set out with our sponsor, Bigley, to come out with a clean, nootropic energy shot that doesn't have any letdown, but gives you clean energy. This stuff is so strong, though, I take half a shot in the morning, it's a big shot, and another half in the afternoon if I need to work late. But again, you can still sleep on it because it's not a traditional stimulant. So if you loved Optimal Human, the strongest, best, super nutrient-packed green drink out there, available right now at thealexjonestore.com, you are going to love Mind Fuel. And when I go through these ingredients, go research these for yourself, and then know, when you find out how great they are, that we have the very best and the very strongest in this product, Mind Fuel, available right now at thealexjonestore.com. Nootropic Mind Fuel is here. This clean, caffeine-free energy shot is designed for clear thinking, steady focus, and zero compromise. It's time to abandon sugary energy drinks and stimulant-heavy formulas in favor of clean, functional, nootropic-based energy. 0 calories, sugar-free, benefit, no crash, no blood sugar spike. Advantage can be used daily without guilt and is good for your whole body, not just your brain. Caffeine-free formula, smooth, clean energy. Advantage, ideal for caffeine-sensitive users and late-day use. Nootropic Alpha GPC, Citrulline, DMAE, GABA. Benefit, supports mental clarity and focus. Advantage, competes with premium brain formulas in a convenient shot. And the best part is, it's an adaptogenic and herbal proprietary blend. Balanced, grounded energy. Advantage, appeals to both biohackers and holistic consumers. And then it's got high-quality electrolytes and a spectrum of high-quality B. If you love our other products, thealexjonestore.com, you are going to love Mind Fuel. And if you haven't tried our Ultramethylene Blue, or our Shilajit, or Irish Sea Moss, or our Bovine Colostrum, you're crazy. These are all incredible products. Get your Mind Fuel now at thealexjonestore.com and help keep us on the air while empowering your life.
Awakening we've seen so far is big. This planet and the globalists have not seen anything yet. We're aware of your activities, trying to muzzle the American people and gaming your search results. Google is evil. We now take the challenge, not to censor like you do, but to stand against you and to fight even harder for our birthright that you are trying to steal.
Remember this. You killed your profession by becoming nothing but mercenaries for the globalists, and people know that you're fake news, many of you. Now, with you trying to kill the First Amendment, you're making yourself true villains.
You've declared war on the First Amendment. You've declared war on free speech.
Since when are hundreds of doctors unable to have press conferences in America?
Right.
And they take it off YouTube, they take it off Google, they take it off Twitter, they take it off Facebook. There is a giant crackdown that even the New York Times calls it a crackdown on conservatives and a plan to deplatform conservatives from the internet and communicating with each other. Just like communist China. I'm here to expose this fraud. I'm here, just like in Congress has hearings about me, I go there. And I get in their face and I expose the truth, and that's what I'm going to do. We had over 40 million subscribers on Apple. That was our biggest thing with my 3 podcasts. Those were all banned.
The most banned man in America, Alex Jones.
Like something out of a zombie apocalypse movie. Leftists are doing it again. They're throwing themselves in front of vehicles driven by Trump supporters so they can play victim.
Oh my God!
In Fremont, Nebraska yesterday, the public school told the kids to go out and demonstrate. And it's all over the country. The left's now using them basically as shields. or is the equivalent of little leftist suicide bombers so they can all play victim. And this weekend, they're going to have big rallies all across the nation in the hopes that young people get hurt, including small children. But look at this video. The national news won't show it to you. When I saw this video from the side shot, I said, looks like they're surrounding the car. Let me see if the person that gets hit actually jumped in front of the car. And sure enough, I did a search on X. There it is, front shot. The woman sees the car start to roll, and like a zombie, she just runs straight into it. But the media won't show you that.
On Saturday, after leaving the No Kings protest, I was struck and injured by a motor vehicle. Oh my God! While leaving the protest. I've been very traumatized by this event. And now, in order to re-traumatize me, the cops here in Catskill are telling me that it's my fault that I put my human body in the street to be hit by a motor vehicle.
Now, the two high schoolers, it looks like, that wanted to come out to their demonstration and say, hey, we're pro-Trump. It's your right to do it, probably not the smartest thing. And once they got scared of the mob, they did drive off, which they can typically say is a hit and run. So that's not right what they did. But the woman that jumped in front of them, looks like a high schooler girl. So these leftists know what they're doing, folks. They're all a bunch of Jesse Smolletts. They're experts at it, and we have to be aware of this. I see countless other videos of other leftists complaining, I jumped out in front of a car, and they hit me, and then they were mad at me when they're the ones that hit me. And you've got all these other deliberate videos of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you name it, jumping in front of police vehicles and others when they're going fast, and then trying to play the victim as well. I mean, this is just craziness, because they need to be the victim. As Axios said, Democrats need death. They need to have their cult members killed so they can play victim. They need a new George Floyd. It's that simple.
Now they're giving me a citation for being in the road. So, honestly, I think that's a bunch of crap, and I'm very, very upset, because I want to press criminal charges against this person who hit me, and the cops just handed me a fucking citation saying that it's my fault, that my fragile human body got hit by a motor vehicle after the protest.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the info war.
The entire world is racing into the fourth turning and the greatest quickening our species has seen in 10,000 years of recorded history. You know you're in a war, right? And it's a declared war. The globalists have declared war on Team Humanity. They've declared war on the God that made us. It is not incredible. It is not heroic. It is not amazing to fight this. It is survival. This is the priority. This is the real world. This is game time. This is the crossroads of human destiny right now. Right now. And I see a bunch of other people not realizing how desperate the situation is. We need maximum urgency. We're up against the most evil people the world's ever seen. Don't you understand that? I don't want anybody to go out and be physically violent. I want you to kill with truth. Kill with your will. Kill, kill, kill their lies.
You are listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alex Jones Show. Second hour is on. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, normally the host of The War Room. Stuart Rhodes will be hosting The War Room for me today. You can follow me on X at Harrison H. Smith. Make sure you're following Infowars, at Real Alex Jones, at AJN Live. Just make sure you're following us, because no matter what happens to this place and this organization, we will continue our operation, and you're going to want to know how to find us. So follow us on X, please. And, of course, support us at thealexjonesstore.com, because we will continue as long as humanly possible. It's entirely up to you how long that is. And you support us and continue our operations by going to thealexjonesstore.com. Now, today, the DOJ announced they were releasing a lot of new information about Jeffrey Epstein. Todd Blanche gave a press conference earlier today. Here he is announcing the latest tranche.
Today we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the Act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take.
And we're already finding out some pretty interesting information about it from the Daily Mail. Jeffrey Epstein says Bill Gates caught sexually transmitted disease from, quote, Russian girls, then suggested secretly slipping Melinda antibiotics. New emails in DOJ release claim. Oh, boy. Bill Gates slept with Russian girls, got a sexually transmitted disease, and asked for antibiotics to slip to his then-wife, Melinda. Extraordinary new Jeffrey Epstein files from the Department of Justice allege the late pedophile financier made the astonishing claims about the Microsoft billionaire in emails he sent to himself on July 18th, 2013. I wonder what the subject title of that was. You know, Bill Gates Blackmail, Volume 1. I better email this to myself as a quick reminder. I've never sent an email to myself, but then again, I don't run a pedophile ring, so maybe these things are useful. The lengthy message lashed out at Gates for ending their friendship, and it says, to add insult to the injury, you them implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD, your request that I provide you antibiotics and that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis. Why was Bill Gates describing his penis to Jeffrey Epstein in emails? What? Are there warts? Am I not up to date on the lore, on the Bill Gates penis lore yet? Oh, he's describing what was wrong with him. That makes sense. I guess that makes sense. Dearest Jeffrey Epstein, good morning. I hope this letter finds you well. I woke up today and guess what my penis looked like? Any suggestions? Any suggestions of what I should do? Incredible. Earlier in the same missive, Epstein said he'd been dismayed beyond comprehension by Bill Gates' decision to, quote, disregard our friendship developed over the last 6 years. Let me translate that for you. Okay, sorry. So what it said, Epstein said he'd been dismayed beyond comprehension by Bill Gates' decision to disregard our friendship developed over 6 years. Translation, he's baffled at Bill Gates' decision to throw him under the bus publicly because Bill knows what we have on him. That's what's incomprehensible about it. Why would he throw me under the bus when he knows I have the description of his STD-riddled penis and his surreptitious desire to drug his wife so she never finds out? Why would he want to abandon the friendship like this? The shocking emails appear to be drafts of a letter intended to be sent to Gates' then-top advisor, Boris Nikolic, around his resignation from the Microsoft billionaire's charitable foundation, appearing to write from the point of view of Nikolic. Okay, so it wasn't an email to himself. Another email in the same morning offered his resignation from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He wrote, I've been caught up in a severe marital dispute between Melinda and Bill. In my role as his right-hand man, I've been asked and wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and have been repeatedly asked to do things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. Okay, so let me just make sure I have this right. Appearing to write from the point of view of Nikolic, another email in the same morning offered. So Jeffrey Epstein was writing an email for Nikolic to send. I mean, when we say puppet masters, I didn't ever realize how, accurate that was. It's just sort of an idiom. It's a phrase. It means somebody has power over somebody else. But, there are multiple examples now of Jeffrey Epstein's words coming out of other people's mouths. I'm not sure if he ever sent this email, but apparently he's saying they're writing emails in the voice of, from the perspective of this Nikolic person, going, here's your resignation email. here, send this. This will hint that you know what Bill Gates did that was illegal. This is a shot across the bow to Bill Gates from Jeffrey Epstein through his assistant, who apparently Jeffrey Epstein is puppeteering, despite him being Bill Gates' right-hand man. And then we have, of course, Jeffrey Epstein sending text messages to the congresswoman from the U.S. Virgin Islands, the woman who became a congresswoman after she didn't investigate Jeffrey Epstein and actually threw out the investigation into his banking activities there. And then she became congresswoman, and then Jeffrey Epstein is texting her live during a hearing saying, ask this, and then she asks what he... So, I mean, I guess when we say puppets, we don't just mean in a theoretical kind of way. These are Jeffrey Epstein's words coming out of the mouths of the meat puppets that he controls. That's wild. And so in this blackmail threat email is what it actually is, that's supposedly coming from Bill Gates' right-hand man, resigning from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Jeffrey Epstein has written in these insinuations, or really these outright accusations, that Bill Gates was doing illegal stuff and that this guy knows about it and that maybe wants to keep being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And so he says, I've been asked to do things that range from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound, and have been repeatedly asked to do things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trusts with married women, facilitating his illicit, that probably means trysts, they probably meant trysts, with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. I'm a medical doctor, but we have no prescription writing ability. As I am a medical doctor, but I have no prescription writing ability. Bill Gates is getting Adderall to play bridge. It's like when you peek behind the curtain, you expect like impressive, I don't know, but it's literally just a bunch of dweebs. Like, I have a big bridge tournament later. Can you get me some drugs? He's juicing. He's juicing for his bridge tournament. From helping Bill Gates to get drugs to getting an Adderall for a bridge tournament, the shocking claims about the Microsoft founder have not been verified and come from a new tranche of documents and hundreds of thousands of documents released by the DOJ on Friday morning. The Daily Mail has contacted Bill and Melinda Gates for comment. A new photo showing Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein with friends was released on Friday. I think we may be getting an answer as to why Melinda split with Bill Gates and referenced his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein as a contributing factor. It's disgusting. This is all so disgusting. So this is the email from Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein in the voice of Bill Gates' assistant, admitting to all of the things that Bill Gates did or wanted him to do that were illegal. Because we're run by a giant criminal network of blackmail run by Mossad. So that's the headline, I think, and it's not exactly a surprise. Mario Nawfal email sent Epstein to himself in 2013, claiming Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls, begged him for antibiotics to secretly give to Melinda Gates. Just crazy. That is really crazy. I mean, I'm not even sure, like, Tony Soprano would do that. I'm trying to think, like a Breaking Bad level. Like, what level of villain are we talking about here? Because I can't imagine doing it to my wife. Can you imagine doing it to your, like, do you understand who these people are? Did even the people they've pledged their life to, that they're supposed to love the most, they are evil to? They betray constantly? These are our moral superiors? I mean, it's pretty sick. In another email sent earlier the same day, Epstein wrote that Gates had pressured him into participating in things that were ethically unsound. Gates has said he regrets his friendship with the late pedophile who died in a New York City jail in 2019, but has long denied any impropriety. Friday's release also includes multiple undated images of Epstein and Gates together in various locations. In one photo, Gates is seen smiling with a woman whose face has been redacted with a black triangle. Gates and Melinda were married between 1994 and 2021. Melinda, who's now a philanthropist, cited Gates' affair and friendship with Epstein as reasons for the divorce, but did not divulge further details. Melinda reportedly hired lawyers to plan her split from Gates in 2019 after reports emerged about his repeated meetings with Epstein, contrary to the Microsoft founder's previous public denials. And I've said it before. I mean, he'd been to his island like 20, 30 times or something crazy.
Well met.
And I again, just think about it in your own life. How many places have you been 20 or 30 times that aren't your home?
Farewell.
I know, the little town where my grandparents lived in Colorado, like the back of my hand. I know every building, I know every alleyway. I've been there like 15 times in my life. It's like, it's like the place I've been the most. I'm only 30. I haven't been there every year. About once every 2 years is about average, about 15 times. Bill Gates went to the island like 30 times. Well, what do you think he was doing there? He just loves the sun. Have you seen the man? I think he's a big wind surfer. Only one reason to go to the Bahamas if you're Bill Gates, and it's to catch STDs. Gates met with Epstein at least 3 times in his Manhattan townhouse, staying late into the night on one occasion, as the Times reported. A March 2013 flight manifest from Epstein's Gulfstream private jet, known as the Lolita Express, says that Gates flew with him from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey to Palm Beach, Florida. Gates' then spokesperson Bridget Arnold told the newspaper he didn't know it was Epstein's plane. What?
You're nice.
You didn't know it was Epstein's plane? He's getting in random planes now? Okay. It's crazy. It really is. It's all just insane. This is the power structure. These are the people that run the world. And they are just monsters. They're all just horrible monsters, folks. And that's why, and by the way, that's why they were allowed to get to the top. That's exactly why. And something we're sort of seeing examples of with things like the Fulton County stuff, where just as we're going back and seeing all of the evidence from 2020, people are just reposting all these videos, people giving affidavits and testimony about seeing things that were wrong. And you just get this sense, you get this overwhelming feeling, and it's just obvious, right? When you're running a criminal, operation like that, you don't want somebody who's just like decent, just like a normal, decent person that just isn't going to go along with your creepy blackmail ring or your attempt to rig the election. So, it just makes sense that, you get these creepy, weirdo, power-hungry psychos in position of power, and then they are terrified of somebody near them exposing them. And so they make sure to not be around anybody except for people that will cover up for them, that are into it, that are okay with it, get off on it, are also participants. I mean, it's just kind of obvious. And, this goes back to, we were talking about this with the COVID czar from New York City was caught, I think, by O'Keefe or Veritas on hidden camera talking about the orgies they would have while the rest of the city was locked down. I just remember at the time being like, of course this whole office is corrupt, because if you're this creepy dude that's hitting on your coworkers and having orgies and you don't want people that even might have a moral bone in their body. You want to make sure that everyone around you is just a cretin like you are. And so repeat that for a couple decades of the entire elite leadership being of this same mindset. And yeah, we're just run by vicious criminals. Completely insane. Melanie Walker was Epstein's science advisor and became a senior program officer at the Microsoft founder's charity, the Gates Foundation. And Boris Nikolic, the foundation's science advisor, was so close to the hobnobbing pedophile that he was named as a backup executor to his estate. Nikolic said he was shocked to be given the role in Epstein's will, declined it, and told the Times in 2019, "I deeply regret ever meeting Mr. Epstein." Text messages from 2017, released by Congress last year, suggest the relationship between Gates and Epstein continued despite his then-wife Melinda's disapproval. Poor Melinda, man. I never thought I'd feel for Melinda, but, I don't. I guess I still don't, since she's still very much involved in her quote-unquote philanthropy. What's this from?
How are you?
Is this one of the new releases? So apparently 3 million new documents are being released. Apparently some of them have. This is just the sort of first thing. Oh, this is like the menu where they're sort of giving all the stats of the woman that they're selling. Just okay. I'm glad these are finally coming out. The Democrats are getting exactly what they asked for.
Hello.
Wonder if they're going to regret it. Wonder if they're already starting to regret it. After all, Bill Gates remains one of their, stalwart champions, despite the fact that he doesn't believe anything that he says, and it's obvious because as soon as it becomes apparent, and we maybe didn't cover this enough because it was kind of subtle, but Bill Gates recently said, maybe climate change isn't as big of a deal as we thought it was. Maybe we don't have to go crazy over this climate change thing. Maybe we went a little too hard early on, and just could not be more obvious that everything these people do, everything that the Bill Gateses and the World Economic Forum, everything, it's all predicated on one concern: controlling humanity. That's it. And to them, climate change was an extremely useful tool for controlling humanity. Then AI was invented, and AI was extremely useful, way more useful than climate change, and at odds with climate change because AI requires enormous amounts of energy production. And so when it comes down to it, they much prefer to have AI control you than try to do it through climate change. So they just throw climate change out the window. They never cared. They never thought climate change was real. They never cared about it at all. And the instant it's shown that in the balance, climate change is less effective than AI, then they just abandon it and go, yeah, never mind, forget all of that. Like, well, I'm glad we didn't let you do all of the stuff that you were trying to do.
Careful.
Which is the thing we always said about climate change. I mean, say what you want about the interventions for COVID. At least some of them you could stop at a certain point, right? You can mask everybody and cause huge damage, but at a certain point, people can take the masks off and you can stop doing that damage. How do you reverse spraying aluminum into the atmosphere to block out the sun? Like those types of interventions you can't undo. And that's what they're trying to do. And now they're just like, yeah, never mind. Actually, never mind. We want infinite energy production for our AI control system that we're going to feed all of the surveillance into in order to monitor you constantly and intervene whenever you do something that displeases us, the pedophile rapists. Democrats in the House Oversight Committee released files from Epstein's estate in September of last year, including his appointment calendar showing several meetings with Gates. An undated photograph released by the committee last month showed Gates at an event with ex-Prince Andrew, the British royal who lost his title over his close relationship with Epstein and allegations he had sex with a 17-year-old girl who the financier allegedly trafficked. Andrew has long denied those allegations. Very good to see. I like seeing it. I don't like hearing it exactly. I don't actually want to know about Bill Gates' sex life, but I do enjoy the fact that these ridiculous criminals, these rapists, these just in general horrible people who just think that they'll be able to get away with everything forever and just abuse everybody endlessly are at least in some way, and if not being legally punished, are just having their reputations utterly and completely destroyed for a very good reason. Like you really think about it enough, it kind of makes you feel sorry for Bill Gates. Again, not really. Again, let me be clear. I'm not sorry for Bill Gates. He can burn in hell for all I care. But imagine being Bill Gates, thinking you're on top of the world, thinking that you're going to run this COVID thing, and because basically how Bill Gates's character, his spirit, he basically is just a control freak. It all comes down to just he wants to control everything. And you can see this all the way back in interviews with him in the early 90s when they're talking about how Microsoft was ruthlessly monopolizing the software industry. And he just wants control, and he wants to be able to manipulate things to his end. And when he wants something done, it infuriates him that there might be a reason he can't do it or people don't want it done. He wants a world that he can control like a computer chip. He wants populations that he can uproot and move over here and place down. He wants, dictates to be just followed unquestioningly like we're all robots. That really is at the heart of it. So imagine going from the richest man in the world, you start this foundation, you combine your wealth with Warren Buffett's to combine the two largest fortunes in America together in a philanthropy, which is just the word that leftists use when they use money to control people. That's what philanthropy means. It means using their vast wealth to change society against our will. That's what they mean by philanthropy. But he thinks he's going to be this pink sweater wearing philanthropist that's going to save the world and be, you know, honored as this rescuer of the world with his beautiful vaccines. And now his name is Mud. He is going to be forever associated with creepy pedophilia and sexually transmitted diseases and attempts to take over the world through his ridiculous climate change agenda that he abandoned because it was retarded the whole time. The man has fallen from grace in a way that is very satisfying and very well deserved. And I hope his life is a misery forever. I really, really do. Jeffrey Epstein allegedly tried to extort Bill Gates over extramarital affair. Yeah, no, that's what we just read. Convicted sexual offender reportedly threatened to expose Gates' relationship with Russian bridge player Mila Antonova. She's a Russian bridge player? Is bridge a thing? Am I missing something here? Do people play bridge?
Well met.
I've never met anybody who's ever played bridge. Is this what the Bill Gateses of the world get up to? Maybe I'm not hanging around the right circles. Maybe I am hanging around the right circles. Maybe you don't want to be playing bridge. Maybe you run into these types of people. So that's just one of the things that we have now learned from this new tranche of Jeffrey Epstein documents. We'll bring you anything else that gets discovered as it comes in, but we got a lot of other stuff to get into. I really want to get into what's happening in Europe as they are just going beyond insane. We are going to get into Iran. We are going to get into more of what's happening in Fulton County and the new Fed chair and a lot of other news to get to, and I'm sure throughout the show we'll be receiving updates, transmissions from the Epstein files, and we'll bring them to you whenever they arrive. Follow us, folks, on X and all the social medias you can, and go to thealexjonesstore.com/Harrison to support us and let them know who sent you, and we'll be back on the other side with more breaking news. Don't go anywhere.
Now, this new product is incredible. It's from our sponsor, Bigley, at thealexjonesstore.com. Optimal Human, you love the green powder, super nutrient, the very best out there. Well, this is Optimal Human Nootropic called Mind Fuel. Introducing Mind Fuel, a super healthy, super strong energy nootropic adaptogen, which doesn't make you sick, doesn't have a letdown. It is incredible. Not just a few of the bottles. Look how many bottles are in there. And I only drink about half a bottle a day. It's so strong. Well, look at that right there, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what comes in each box of this. And it is simply amazing. Optimal Human Nootropic Mind Fuel is here. This clean, caffeine-free energy shot is designed for clear thinking, steady focus, and zero compromise. It's time to abandon sugary energy drinks and stimulant-heavy formulas in favor of clean, functional, nootropic-based energy. 0 calories, sugar-free, no crash, no blood sugar spike. Can be used daily without any guilt. Caffeine-free formula, smooth, clean energy, ideal for caffeine-sensitive users and late-day use. It's also got all these other incredible compounds like citicoline, alpha GPC, GABA, supports mental clarity and focus. It appeals to both biohackers and holistic consumers. High-quality electrolytes and B vitamins. More than a brain shot, true functional fuel. Optimal Human Nootropic Mind Fuel, that's the name of the product, isn't just another energy product. It's a smarter alternative for consumers who demand clarity, control, and clean performance without compromise. Get 25% off or life when you become a subscriber, canceling time for free. Get Mind Fuel down at thealexjonesstore.com. And if you've never tried the original superfood greens, Optimal Human, you really want to get this as well. It's the best green food I've ever had at thealexjonesstore.com. The widest selection of Patriot apparel, all sorts of cool collectible knives and more. And that's what funds this, and that's what does this. And I really appreciate your support because I can't do it without you. So I want to commend and thank the listeners. But just like I steered you right on gold and silver 2.5 years ago, I got out of the market before that. I said, now's the time. I was totally right. Just like I steer you right on politics. These products are incredible. Get our Ultramethylene Blue. It is the best in the market. Our Shilajit is the best. Our Irish sea moss is the best. Our turmeric is the strongest. Ultimate turmeric. TheAlexJonesStore.com. You are missing out. You don't get it. I want to thank those that have supported. I want to challenge those that haven't. What are you waiting for?
Just what I needed for my morning jog.
Working 12 to 13 hours a day, Mind Fuel keeps me on my toes and in the action.
Try this energy shot for a boost like no other. Power your mind and body today.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know the power of turmeric, but have you felt it? Have you tried the ultimate turmeric gummies, the delicious way to harness the ancient power of golden turmeric, supercharged with ginger root and black pepper for maximum impact? Each gummy delivers 125 milligrams of premium turmeric extract packed with curcumin, the clinically studied compound shown to support healthy inflammation response, ease everyday aches, and promote joint comfort so you can move through life with ease. We added real ginger root, trusted for centuries to calm digestion and soothe the stomach, plus a precise dose of black pepper extract with pepperine, proven to boost curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. That means more of the good stuff actually gets where your body needs it. No capsules, no bitter aftertaste, just one tasty tropical flavored gummy a day, or two if you're feeling extra, to help you feel lighter, looser, and more energized. Ultimate Turmeric Gummies, ancient wisdom meets modern science in the best tasting form possible. Grab yours today and start feeling the ultimate difference in health. With Ultimate Turmeric Gummies, inflammation doesn't stand a chance. Get yours today at thealexjonesstore.com.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
No marriage, no babies, no truth, no God, no happiness, no joy, no countries, no buildings. Just rubble. I just want rubble and sadness. I want the sky to turn black. Black Lives Matter, turn the sky black. I want to see, I want to melt. I want to be a puddle of mud. What I'm doing is justified, and white people living their lives is evil. White people just try to get by is evil. Black Lives Matter only, and everything should die. Knock down every statue, burn down the Burger Kings, fill the country with Mexicans, kill the whites, go to their homes and live in their yards. No jobs, quit your jobs, destroy all of it because of
Yeah, there you go, folks. Your completely accurate representation of what the left believes. I wish I could give credit to whoever made that. Cracks me up. We are going to talk about the insanity of the left here, and we may be making some pretty divisive statements. So I want to start off this segment, well, right after making fun of them. Unity with the good guys. Now is a time of massive division in America. We need to deliberately foster unity on the basis of Americanism. Like, that's it. Now, I've been saying this the entire time I've been in forward. Nationalism is the answer to all of this stuff. It's the answer to racism. It's the answer to everything. At the end of the day, no matter what you disagree on, we're both Americans, so we're on the same team. Does that not make sense? Can we not handle that? Like, we lose or we win together. How can we not have that just as a basis of something, right? And I cannot believe that so many people fall for the lies of the left when it's so abundantly clear that the video we just saw really does represent their ultimate goal, whether they express it or not. I was saying this yesterday. I'm actually going to play a video right now that I played yesterday on the War Room, but I just think it's so good. I want to share it to the larger audience of the Alex Jones Show. But it's like, what can the left even point to? What can they even point to go, come with us and this will be your future? Like, we know what their future looks like. It's South Africa. It's Zimbabwe. They're going, come join us in the rubble. We too can be a welfare state that's collapsing and all of the precious metals are being ripped out of our power lines and sold on the black market, so we don't actually have power half the time. But like, that's what awaits us if you come with us. Like, who is buying this? Who is buying what they're selling? It's ridiculous. And it reminds me a lot, and I've been talking about it a lot, the video we played on the War Room of from a YouTube channel called Voices of the Past. And it's a series of diary entries from a guy living through the Russian Revolution. And, in it, he's going, hey, if the revolution really happens, you know, this. And it's like, dude, you are already in it. He has no idea what's coming. Although he has some idea because he's looking back at the French Revolution 100 years previous and saying, I hope we don't go down the same route here. I hope we don't end up in a reign of terror like they did. Oh, you made the French Revolution look like a picnic. And it's just, there's something about the fact that, like, during the Russian Revolution, he's looking 100 years back at the French Revolution, the bloody gore that it ended up as. Now here we are 100 years ahead, looking back 100 years at him and the bloody revolution he was involved in, facing our own revolution. Are we just going to go through this over and over again, or can we look at history, recognize the pattern that communist revolutions take, and understand the only thing that stops them is stopping them? Every time it's the same thing. In 1918, they tried to do a communist revolution in exactly the same way that they did in Russia. In Russia, it succeeded. In Germany, it didn't. Why? Because some of the first cities that they took over had barracks nearby, and German generals, just on their own volition and without orders, stormed into the city hall and killed or expelled all the communists and just put it down. So the 1918 communist revolution didn't work in Germany because they crushed it immediately in its nascent phases. The German generals, the Free Corps, who just decided to do it again on their own volition. They just saw a bunch of communists taking over, you know, the city hall in Hamburg or wherever. We're just like, no, we're not allowing this, and just went in and crushed it, and Germany didn't become communist. That's what it takes, y'all. It's the only way. It's the only thing that stops it. You either go Franco or you go Bolshevik. It happens over and over, and they're doing it again. And they're planning on the exact date of their revolution. It's May 1st, 2028. They have every major union in the country talking about this. They're all going to go on strike at the same time to economically cripple the United States until their demands are met. And their demands are a total socialist overhaul of the United States government. And that's what they did in Germany. It's what they did in Russia. This is what they do. And they're doing it again. We can see it. We can recognize it. Can we stop it using our human will? Is it possible? Of course it is. Will we? I don't know. Anyway, there's a long tangent. It's a long tangent. The point is, we don't have to fall for this. We have something we can seize onto. It's the American identity. It's Americanism. The false dichotomy is like fascism versus communism. There's Americanism that is a third option, that is not either one of these extremes, and that is just what we've been, or what we were, for 200 years before we decided to do this whole multicultural experiment. Let me go to this video, and then I'll return with some more news. I might have made a mistake. I told the crew, bring me in any Epstein stuff. I have a feeling it's going to be just like an endless supply of Epstein stuff. We have some new stuff about Elon Musk I'll get to in just a second. But I want to go to this video of this guy just expressing a sentiment that I don't understand why all Americans don't feel this. This should be like our new national anthem. Okay, let's watch.
You need something?
I like white America. I don't like this Somalian America or Taliban America. I'm not into it. Got these damn Talibans and terrorists running New York City. You got these Somalians taking over damn Minnesota. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I don't like it. Call me whatever you want to call me. I miss a good old white America with a sprinkle of the rest of us. Some blacks here, some Latinos there, some Asians, you know what I mean? Just the good old days. What the hell we got going on there? We got people praying in the middle of the street. I'm not into your little prayers and whatnot. I don't like it. Clean that up. Make America white again. What the hell's going on? We got kids. Our kids ain't gonna grow up in the same good old America we grew up in. It's gonna look like a damn third world country. Got these people come to our country and steal billions of dollars. Imagine if they walked into Mexico and stole billions of dollars. They'd be swinging from a damn tree. Their heads will be missing from their body. But they get to just hide out over here and just cause chaos and commotion so nobody pays attention. I'm getting sick of it. Elon Musk sitting on, what, $45 million? How? I don't trust the voting system. I don't trust anything. We got to figure something out. Something ain't right. We got to close the doors, man. Can't let everybody in. You see what's happening. They're taking over. We're going to be the minority, all of us. Man, all these weird-looking people just running the country, making us the new slaves. Something's got to be done, or it's going to be hell to pay. Maybe not for us, but our kids and our grandkids. I don't want to see that.
Westcott, America. Yep, he's on my team. I don't know how the teams are going to break down, but he's on my team. I'm on his. And again, the thing about looking back into history and seeing the way revolutions went wrong, you can read the diaries from this guy. You can, watch the video. And he's going, maybe I don't agree with everything they say, but, the Tsar can be a little bit heavy-handed sometimes, okay? Let's not pretend like the Tsar doesn't have his own, issues when it comes to, putting down revolts or, not having so much openness, which is kind of a lie anyway because they were liberalizing in Russia regardless. But again, that's what always happens. And it happens in America too, where there's some sort of like discomfort. There's some sort of societal change that occurs that means that the old way of doing things doesn't quite work anymore and causes some discomfort and friction. And typically things will sort of resolve themselves on their own. Things will get better incrementally and you'll end up, in a good place. But what happens is you get agitators and activists and communists who see that little pain that's been caused by whatever it is, right? In America, it'd be like, well, we have all this technology that means that women aren't having to like spend all day, every day washing clothes and doing dishes and preparing food. We've got dishwashers and washing machines and all these wonderful things. Now women aren't, tied to the house by necessity just to function. So they're around and you go, oh, maybe women should be a little bit more, equal to men in society. And so, just naturally because of the progress of technology, sort of the old way of doing things doesn't quite work anymore. There's some friction, there's some discomfort, and things are moving progressively. But then you get the radicals coming in, rip their shirts off and start burning their bras and going, we have to tear this whole thing down. And it's like, if you just let it naturally progress, it'd probably be fine. But you get people who come in and take advantage of that sort of, lack of patience, sort of, impatience of people who, when something's wrong, they want it fixed right now, and then it gets exploded into something bigger. And so I sort of have the same feeling here where people are like, oh, but it is kind of tyrannical. We are allowed to carry guns at protests. And it's like, do y'all not understand? You can't give credence to the communists. They're taking this stuff and blowing it wildly out of proportion, and you have to stand firm on the fact that what Trump is doing, everything that we're doing is perfectly legal, is fine, and things that are wrong, things that are bad, things that aren't quite perfect in America are basically nothing compared to what they will be if these people take charge and plunge us into socialist communist hell. I get it. It's not perfect where we are now, but don't let that imperfection become a vulnerability for communists to sink their sword in, a chink in the armor, to sink a wedge in and start forcing us apart. Because at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and what America built for everyone is so much more beautiful and better than anything the socialists can even suggest will happen if they're in charge. We need to reassert that over and over, the importance of not just our system, but the people that uphold it. All right, this just got brought into me from Shadow of Ezra. New Epstein files show that Elon Musk was in communication with through email with Jeffrey Epstein in 2013 after Epstein was a convicted pedophile. With Elon Musk saying, is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein saying, I will send a heli for you. Musk stated in the exchange that he would be in the British Virgin Island over the holidays. The British Virgin Islands are about 15 miles from Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island, Little St. James. Yeah, so, well, the British Islands are an island chain. Some of them are British, some of them are American. Epstein's is on the American, in the American group. Musk had previously said that he and Epstein never interacted. Interesting. I need to fly back to LA on the night of the 2nd, says Elon. Jeffrey Epstein says 2nd or 3rd would be perfect. I will come get you. I wonder what this was about. I will be in the BVI/St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit? And then there's this chart. What is this chart, guys? Complaint summary. So this is another document release. So again, they've released 3 million documents from the Jeffrey Epstein tranche, and we're showing you some of the more crazy ones. So these are notable names: Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexa she was approximately 3 to 14 years old when they occurred, and a friend allegedly bit President Trump. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed. Okay. So I don't even know what this chart is. I guess this is just from the tranche. But again, it's similar to the ones that we saw after the first big tranche of documents, where it's just like completely baseless accusations that are recorded, because they have to be recorded, but then turn out to be totally and provably fake. At age 16, while modeling, Collar attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Collar reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Collar and her best friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Collar stated Orrin raped her best friend, and a third brother, Tal, raped a 14-year-old girl named Blank. Collars named other individuals involved in big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. All right, so I'm not sure what the context of this is, but we're going to see a lot of interesting and real information, and probably a lot of not real information as well. I guess it'll be up to us to sort through this. Remember, Bill Clinton was, in fact, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, according to everybody that knew him, including some of the survivors, whereas Donald Trump has consistently exposed what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. And I always like to point back to a video from 2015 of Donald Trump when he was still, candidate, and wasn't even, it was early on in 2015. He hadn't even done the debates, I don't think. And somebody asked him about Epstein, because Epstein was in the news, and he said, they did some weird stuff on that island. You should ask the prince about that. You should ask Prince Andrew about that. And it's from that point alone, it's I don't think this guy's in on it. I don't think this guy's one of the people doing this. Just because the way he reacted, he's just Jeffrey Epstein, ask Prince Andrew about that. It was way before Prince Andrew was convicted for this, basically. So we'll see what else comes out about this. But like I said, we've got a lot of other gigantic news going on. And you know what I want to do? I want to go to a couple clips that I cut out of Sidney Powell's deposition, because as so many people are bringing up again, and so many videos are resurfacing showing the inordinate amounts of fraud that occurred in 2020. I went back and I watched Sidney Powell's deposition, and I found it extremely informative and interesting, kind of fascinating, some of the things she said. And she took a plea deal. I mean, they charged everybody over this, which is ridiculous. And by the way, this is what I mean by what do you even do about this? If the election is proven to be rigged, which I think it has been basically, but not officially and whatever. If this document raid proves that they completely rigged the election, stole Georgia, stole the presidency from Trump, they went on to charge Trump and Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. They charged all these people with crimes over investigating the election. But if the election was really rigged, then all of these people have massive civil rights convictions, and everybody who participated in their indictments in the first place was really involved in a giant cover-up to imprison and silence the people that were investigating your crime. Do we understand what we're talking about when we say the 2020 election was stolen? We're talking about an enormous criminal cabal across the entire federal government and the media. Bill Barr would have to be involved in this, right? He was the attorney general at the time that shut down investigations in places like Pennsylvania. I'll go to a video about Pennsylvania here in just a second. Doesn't that mean January 6th was actually extremely justified? Actually, if the election was stolen, doesn't that mean that January 6th wasn't some crazy riot of Trump trying to stay in power by force, but was exactly what it actually was, a bunch of God-fearing, patriotic American citizens who saw their election stolen right out in front of them and were angry at that and didn't like that and wanted to oppose that? So I don't know how you undo all of the damage that's been done from this. I don't know if that's even possible. But I think extraordinary measures are necessary from this point on. But let's go back to 2020. This may have been 2021 or so, maybe in 2022, but it's Sidney Powell talking about the time between the election and January 6th and the meetings that she had with Donald Trump. And I thought a couple of these were interesting. We'll start with clip 38 here. Sidney Powell, let's watch.
Okay, so he continued to be interested in the election machine frauds and Dominion specifically at that point.
Who, the president?
The president.
Yeah, I would say he was interested in it all along.
Okay, so even though there's that reporting that I think a month before he had muted and said, "This is crazy." Like, he never told you, like, "This is crazy, stop giving me this information."
No. What sort of things was he saying in December 18th specifically?
Well, he knew all his instincts told him he had been defrauded, that the election was a big fraud.
And when you say his instincts, did he ever describe that in any way? Did he ever point to any kind of proof or evidence or anything he was getting from his other attorneys or experts?
Well, he talked about, seeing the vote totals roll backwards on the TV.
Meaning on election night?
Yeah. And the unbelievable spikes, how far ahead he was in different states at the time all the machines stopped counting, and how it should have been impossible to make up that sort of vote difference without some kind of shenanigans.
I don't know. I just love that. It's like, why did Trump think the election was stolen? It's like, well, because we watched it be stolen on live TV. Because the vote count totals went backwards at one point. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? He was winning a bunch of states, then they stopped counting, and then the next morning, he wasn't winning those states anymore. I guess that would have been a hint that something might have not been exactly above the board, right? I mean, it's just crazy. It's 5.5 years past. And we all watched it live. We all watched them steal the election. And we all heard the affidavits of the people who explained exactly how the election was stolen. Like the truck driver driving a truck full of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania, trying desperately to keep it in the chain of custody, only to have it basically the truck stolen from him by somebody and taken somewhere. And he just testifying this the next day, being like, yeah, this just happened. And then this, and then this. The litmus test of sanity, I call it. The question is, if you stripped all of the information from this, if all you had were the lines and maybe the x-axis and the y-axis, can you recognize where the anomaly is? Are you able to see the line that's unlike the other lines? It's a vertical line that goes straight up. No other part of the line looks like that. Can you see it? Can you see that? Do you see what the anomaly here? Can you figure out where the strange part of this, votes over time graph is? Because liberals tell you they don't. The liberals see this and they go, I don't see an anomaly. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything about this that would make me suspicious about anything.
See you later.
Yeah, it's the sanity litmus test.
What can I do?
You either
Be careful.
have to immediately acknowledge this is messed up, this is only possible through fraud, or you're a liar. And you're pretending to not see something right in front of you. Okay? So I just think it's interesting when they're like, why did Trump think this? She's like, I don't know, because he saw it be stolen right in front of him. Because we watched it in real time as vote totals were changed to, in literally an impossible way. Let's go to the next one here, 39. This is Sidney Powell.
You had said before, if he got to the point where, the facts were telling him you've lost, he would then bow out. That was either what he said to you or the sense that you got?
Yeah, he said something very clearly to that effect.
Okay, but then on the 18th, the only real justification that he's giving you to why he's not bowing out is that his instincts tell him that he won.
Need help?
That and the evidence that I'd showed him.
Ms. Powell, were you ever around when anyone told Donald Trump that he had lost the election?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Pat Cipollone, Eric Hirschman, Derek Lyons, all thought he'd lost.
And she goes on to name basically everybody around Trump. And basically what it gives you is this really good picture of Trump knows the election was stolen. She calls it his instincts, but it's hilarious. He's like, so all he had to go on was the instincts? And she's like, well, yeah, and the evidence. It's like, yeah, his instincts and the proof is right in front of you, available with your own eyes. It's just insane. Well, let's go quickly to 43 here. We won't be able to watch the whole thing, but just a little selection just to remind you of not Pennsylvania, or not Georgia and not Arizona, two of the most egregious examples. What about Pennsylvania? How secure was their election? Let's watch.
Pennsylvania had over 1.5 million fraudulent votes counted, and the spread is less than 82,000 votes. These fraudulent votes come from dead voters, ballots that were received before they were supposedly mailed out, and over 330,000 electronic spikes from the voting machine. 205,000 overvotes, meaning there were 205,000 more votes than registered voters, and 682,000 ballots that were illegally processed without any oversight whatsoever. More than 1.5 million votes in Pennsylvania is apparently what it took for Joe Biden to steal the state. Georgia has a similar phenomenon that Democrats are failing to account for. 66,248 underage voters voted in Georgia.
Again, this is an OAA report from 2020, I believe. We've known this for 5 years, so it's about damn time we get an investigation into it. We should have had one that year. We should have had one after January 6th. Finally, 6 years later, we might be taking steps towards some form of justice. And when we get back on the other side, I'll be joined by Patrick Byrne, who was actually in the room with Sidney Powell during some of those events when Donald Trump was frantically trying to, get a correct result for the election, and everyone around him was saying, "You lost, Trump, give it up." But he knew better, so did we.
We sell the best supplements, the widest selection of Patriot apparel, and knives at theauctionstore.com. And they've had some awesome daggers and awesome trench knives, and that's all great. But I said, I want a wide selection of high quality folding knives, flip knives, you name it, so people have a one-stop shop. They got in a few thousand knives a few months ago. They sold out very quickly. 4 or 5 great designs. They got a bigger shipment in just the last 2 days. Our sponsor, just really top-flight knives. These knives, this knife right here you see in the green, highest quality Damascus steel, all of it. These sell in stores for $75 all day. We're selling for $40, 40-something bucks. Okay? So look at that flip. Flips right out. Got a nice little, my signature on it, real small, nice little memento to support the broadcast. That is a really nice knife. It clips on your belt buckles. We have it in the green. We have it in the murdered out black. We have it also in silver without it being blacked out. Those are great knives. Those are the new designs. Now, those 200 left of the Skull Crusher World War II trench knife with the Spartan tip of the spear. So they held those back. Those are available. A little bit left they held back in their overstock of the Fire with Its Beauty. But this is a really cool knife. Alex Jones Phantom folding knife. A limited stock of that came back in. Also the Alex Jones Burnt Orange folding knife. And this is the knife that sold out the quickest fitting knife. They got 500 of these. 1,000 now just came in. The first one sold out like in hours. Alex Jones Ring Blade. I guess those are popular. This is something I didn't really call for, but it's awesome. Got that ring on the back, got the deal. It's really nice. Those are all back in stock right now at thealexjonestore.com. But while you're at it, get methylene blue, Irish sea moss, and more. And check out the Patriot apparel, thealexjonestore.com.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex today. I usually host The War Room. Stuart Rhodes will be sitting in for me there as Alex takes some very well-deserved break time to rest himself. We're actually making him, and it's not even working. He's still sending in a lot of reports. The man cannot relax. And I hope you can support us in our, some say, insane drive to save America from the clutches of the globalists. We probably